everyone.
In a recent interview, Loki actor Sophia DiMartino, who plays Sylvie, spoke about her character and how she feels following Loki's character defining decision at the end of Season 2. Loki's Season 2 finale was the culmination of an over the decade of a character development throughout the MCU, and saw Tom Hiddleston's character of Loki, the God of Mischief, or now known as the God of Stories, take on an Atlas-like role, holding together the branches of the multiverse. For the branches to stay intact, Loki must remain, holding them together, potentially for the rest of time. A sacrifice the newly titled God of Stories was prepared to make, especially given that it will ensure his loved ones' universes and homes are going to be safe. And so, in a recent interview with CherryPix.com, Loki's Sophia DiMartino, who plays Sylvie as I had mentioned, revealed her character and what her character thinks about Loki's sacrifice in the Season 2 finale. She shared that Sylvie has a lot of respect for Loki, and is super grateful for Loki making the choice that he did, despite it putting him in quite an uncomfortable position. She says that, in quotes, "Oh, I think that she has a lot of respect for Loki for doing that by the end of Season 2, for giving her and everyone else a chance, and knowing that he has to spend eternity now on his own, and well, I imagine he's in quite an uncomfortable position, holding all of time together. So I think that she has a massive amount of respect for him, and also is super grateful that he's done that, and he's had that thought of to do that, so she's sort of relieved that they have a chance at this by the end, and is grateful." Ending the quote right there. And so also, mind you, is that is speaking from the character's POV, like the actress Sophia DiMartino speaking on like what her character of Sylvie thinks about Loki, essentially, and his big sacrifice, his big culmination sacrifice, essentially, that we saw in the Loki Season 2 finale. She continues by saying, and that she does think that because it's a Loki and Sylvie story, she may feel a need to keep an eye on that situation, and on him. She had noted that Loki being on a throne could be an issue, as it has, historically speaking, hasn't gone well. She says that, in quotes, "I think because it's Sylvie and Loki, there is also a grain of some thought within her that is going to keep an eye on that situation. Because at the end of the day, right, he has his throne, and he's doing his God thing on this throne. And historically speaking, though, that hasn't always gone well." I mean, that quote right there, looking past that and at the past variants of Loki, essentially, as well. The past stories of Loki, I think, as well, of where you take his character, you give him power, and he becomes more of a villain. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case in this situation. It feels more compelling and for more of a greater than good kind of purpose at the same time as well. She goes on to acknowledge that Sylvie would be a little bit apprehensive given both of what had happened when He Who Remains, the original Kang variant, was controlling all of time, and the fact that Loki would find it really difficult not to meddle if something on that timeline goes wrong. However, she noted that if he does, it is called into question that the free will that his sacrifices brought with many of his sacrifice. She says that, in quote, "The last person in that chair, the Who He Remains, the last person who was controlling all of time, wasn't necessarily great. So I think that Sylvie is just a little bit apprehensive about the fact that it's, free will can never be free will if there's someone in charge of all of it, essentially. And that person, like what if Loki sees something on that timeline that he doesn't like himself? He's going to find it really difficult not to meddle with it, or not to intercept something, or change something somehow." Ending that quote right there. I think that also, in comparison, takes away from his purpose of the God of Stories. Like, he is meant, like, that is his purpose of what he has taken on. Although I think it does open up an interesting door as to where could we see it go in the future, with a possible potential Loki Season 3, or maybe even a Loki movie, or something that we see in the greater of the MCU, like Thor 5. Sophia DiMartino continued, noting that because they are versions of the same being, or same person, Sylvie understands Loki, and understands how much of a challenge stepping back from control can be. She also says that trusting is the most difficult thing for Sylvie to do herself, and given that and all the other factors, she's going to keep an eye on him, saying that in quotes, and I think that she knows him so well, because they are the same versions of the same being, that it's going to be difficult just to sit back and do nothing if something does go wrong, right? So yeah, massive respect, hugely grateful, and also, I'm going to keep my eye on you, buddy. It's because Sylvie, and is trusting, is like the most difficult thing for her to do. Ending that quote right there. And so, as I had mentioned there, I think that it does have a possible potential to set up for what we see with the future of Loki and the future of the MCU. As I had mentioned, whether that's a Loki season 3 or a Loki spin-off movie, Thor 5, or anything else that we may see in the future of the MCU, the question is now posed as of what is next for Sylvie and her character now. Does she go off living a happy ending type of scenario, or will she be back for more? With the idea of Loki season 3 still being up in the air, fans don't know as of to where Sylvie could appear next if she is to return. Thor 5 is in development in some capacity, as I had mentioned. It could be interesting to see how the Loki variant fits into Tom Hiddleston's Loki universe for a couple of reasons. First, as we all know, Thor still doesn't know about Loki's sacrifice, or really, honestly, this version of Loki. In fact, Thor probably doesn't even know that Loki is back alive, thanks to time travel shenanigans. He could certainly have a strong reaction of some kind of learning his brother did come back to life again, died again, and even has a variant, seemingly navigating the universe on her own herself as Sylvie, but also the whole idea of Loki being the god of stories now. Also, Sylvie could fit into the world of Thor and Loki in the MCU, as she is not only a Loki variant, but also has strong similarities to the Marvel Comics character, the Enchantress. Into that manner, very similar to what Scarlet Witch is, I think. Like Sylvie, the Enchantress is an adept at sorcery, has many godly traits though, however, as well, and is closely tied to Asgard and its adjacent stories. As such, Sylvie could lean into the Enchantress side of her character and that role, bringing him within to the MCU, giving way for new comics-inspired stories within the MCU, and paving the way for the future of what we could see with Loki and Sylvie as well in the future of the MCU. These are all being said, guys, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys are all thinking. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been an official MCU. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. Peace out.